And I'm also taller than him, so there's that. So what's going on? I've been teasing and promising this for a while. We actually did an episode of our relationship, like when I first started doing podcasts, and um, things have obviously changed since then. We went through a whole damn pandemic and a whole bunch of other shit. And I don't think that we got an opportunity to really like dig in. So this may be a longer episode, but we're also going to give each other grace and patience in terms of questions answered. We did no prepping before. I do have some questions that I think will go both for both of us, and it may um, dig more out of the conversation. And by the way, happy birthday, happy 100th birthday. This shirt is representing Queen Bee, which yeah, we're gonna have a birthday party again in October. It's gonna be her 6 month birthday. So
Nice.
and I got black nails too. So there is that. So how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? I'm good. How are you guys doing?
No. I was waiting for them to answer.
Oh.
Now you guys can see I have a little air conditioner back here. That thing is the truth. That thing is cold already.
Are you cold? I cannot see it.
Well, it's right here. I'm just being extra right now, but it's cold. It's cold, so I have to turn it off. I'm gonna turn the fan on real quick. We have someone else here too, which we'll introduce in the end. Which I think if she wants to speak, she says that she's ugly, but
No,
she's not. She says she's ugly to be on camera. That is, but she is not. So you're good. I'm good. You work today.
I did.
And I work today. Since the last time we did this, things have changed in our lives. Unfortunately, we both lost parents. You
I lost my daddy.
and I lost my mom in 2021, and I think that was something that I would say challenged our relationship, right? Right.
Yes, it did. Because we're never ready for love somebody that we love, and both sides were a very important part of our lives.
Mhm. Um, yeah, the whole grieving process is not for the faint of heart. I found myself. My mom she's passed away a couple years now, and I found myself in June just having a really hard time with trying to process and understand her death. So, it's like you think time, will do it, but sometimes the sadness comes in waves. Same thing with my friend Darlena, which you guys know that that's the reason why I have this podcast. That kind of comes and goes too. But um, I think that was something that definitely helped like strengthen my faith in our relationship when my mom passed, and how you were there to help pick up the pieces.
Yeah, that's important when you have the other half and the support, especially emotional, that you need.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of difficult because Carlos is a crier by nature. That's his thing, um, and it was interesting because I did find myself during the process of transition, my mom transitioning, and all that other stuff, where um, I had to put myself aside and then check on him. But that gave us an opportunity for us to really talk about, like, there are going to be times where I'm going to be weak and I'm going to need you to be strong, and vice versa.
And vice versa, yes.
So, it's difficult sometimes, when you're used to just centering yourself, either being single or you're in a relationship that's not fulfilling you or whatever. It's kind of hard to not center yourself, but we got through it, and I wouldn't have had any other person to go through that with. Now, let's talk about what happened with your father.
My dad had a stroke, and unfortunately, help that my country is not the greatest thing. If you don't have money, a lot of money, just talking about very third world hospital with practically nothing to help the patients.
Mhm.
Gladly, I have a lot of people, friends, co-workers that help me out with some money. I couldn't send money and support him until his last days.
The saddest thing about his situation is that he hadn't seen his father in years, so he had to come to terms with never being able to see his father in the
Mm-hmm.
physical again. And I think that definitely added a element of like it added an extra element for him to process.
Yeah, last time I saw him was 2015,
Mm-hmm.
April, May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, May 2015. We talk on the phone and video calls and all that kind of stuff, but it's not the same when presence. When you need the warm hug, the I love you face to face.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same.
Um, but we did have a wake for him here. We
Yeah, it
actually
was beautiful.
we had it at the park that we got married at in 2015. Um, and yeah, it was beautiful. It was something I felt like needed to happen for him, considering he didn't have that moment of like closure like his siblings had. I was like, I probably should step up. And I asked him what he wanted to do, and he was okay with honoring his father as best as he could. And the day of, we saw a rainbow.
First, it was raining,
Yep.
and we had to move around that little gazebo and find a way not to get wet. And then, as
Yeah.
soon as Reggie finished talking, it just the rain just stopped right there, and the big rainbow come out, and it was so amazing to see.
I like to think that was his way of acceptance. Even though it may have
I
come,
believe so too.
from the other side, I feel like that was his way of saying, "Hey, I
I'm
accept you for
here,
who you
and I
are."
accept you.
So it was a very beautiful moment, and I was glad to be able to step up, um, you know, with that for him. Um, it did trigger some things in my mom, and unfortunately with my mother, it was kind of in the middle. It was in the middle of COVID, really, for Albany. We hadn't even got up on a year when my mom was going through of COVID. That is, my mom was going through what she went through. We were not able to have her funeral, and sometimes I do forget that I do have her cremains here. Um, but sometimes I do wish I had like a place to go so I can see her. But that's it doesn't change the fact that I still miss her every day. So but on the good news, on in 2021, latter part of that year, I started an LLC for our business, which has become fairly successful in the last 9 months. It'll be a year.
Yeah,
Actually, it might already be a year
almost next month.
next month. It'll be a year next month where I started Eternal Unions Weddings, which you guys have heard me talk more about it. Well, you've heard me talk a lot about it. But let's ask you. So, what did you think when I first came up with the idea of like, okay, I want to start a business?
I think, or I thought it was a great idea, and just because we don't have to just be depending on one job and a schedule of 40 hours. Sometimes we have free time, we don't know what to do with it. So it was a way for make a little bit more and also have a purpose of serving our community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when our friend that lead us, she said, live life on purpose and be kind to people. And that's what we're trying to do with the business.
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting, that you say that because I feel like that is almost second nature to us now.
Mm-hmm.
To because we go out. Example, we, on the fourth last week, we went to breakfast and we saw this young lady, and I was just being my normal silly self, and we met a nice young lady. What was her name?
I forgot.
It was a nice young lady. I don't remember her name because I didn't really interact with her too much. Was it Thalia?
No, Johanna.
Yes. So, because we were talking about Thalia,
Yeah.
the different pronunciations of that name, but yeah, we met her, and she was very sweet. She was just really there to, observe our funny because we banter back and forth a lot, just dumb stuff about he's gay or he's about him, she's about him, just silly, quirky stuff that only matters to us. That would be very weird to somebody else. So she kind of keyed in and started laughing with us. But shout out to her. She's down in Coconut Creek. So, but yeah, my I think when my mom passed, I wanted something that would create a legacy for me. So people can have something to remember me by. I don't have any control of what people remember me by, but I wanted to leave something better than I wanted to leave the world better than it came in with me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my reasoning for it. And 9 times out of 10, if it's a suggestion from me, Carlos will typically be the supportive husband and be like, all right, well, we'll see let's see how it works out, as opposed to, I don't really know. Or if he does have concerns, he keeps it to himself. And then when something goes wrong, he'd be like, see, I knew it. And it's like, they didn't. But yeah, it started out as a notary business. Y'all know the key. Y'all know the things. But at this point, because we're not going to make that the topic of the conversation, because we do have questions, I've done 52 weddings.
I got 6.
6 weddings. 2 of those was us together.
Mm-hmm.
We did together. And Carlos has done, 4 on his own. And
only Spanish, no.
Spanish. So for those of you who are out there who wants to get booked by this guy, he's pretty sought after. Spanish.
Solo español.
Solo español. We're going to practice it. I mean, I see him doing English at some point, but I get it. That would be the same as him saying to me, hey, Spanish. And I'm like, so, there's that. But, things are going well with that. And I'm happy to have somebody that was supportive. And then in the process was able to be like, I kind of want to do that. Tell me about that. What was it that made you be like, I want to?
Just the fact that I see people happy and I see you enjoying doing it. So it's like, I want to be in his shoes. I want to, give these people the same kind of happiness and experience myself doing the same thing. It's gonna motivate me to do it.
Because it's a rush. I tell y'all that it is probably one of the most invigorating things I get to do in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all the emotions. The emotion from the nervousness, the what am I gonna wear? Am I gonna have an assistant today? Because obviously he works.
It's adrenaline, right?
Yeah, it is. It's fun times, and by the time we get done, if we both are together, we're worn out by the end of the day. We're like zapped, because depending on the wedding that we have, we might just be entertaining ourselves, or depending on the capacity in which they hire us, there may be more things that we have to do. So. But yeah, you guys want to know more about that behind the scenes stuff, you got to go back and listen to some of the other episodes. So please go do so. So you ready for the questions, Lebadules?
Yes.
So
Tuesday is the first question.
Tuesday, she's over here. We can't put her on camera right now. Not yet anyway. Maybe we'll get a shot of her in the end, but she has some questions. So 4 days, it will be 9 years ago that we met.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel that it's been 9 years? Or that it will be 9 years?
It feels like it's been forever.
Uh-huh.
It's been fun. It's been challenging.
Okay.
Especially because we both from different cultures.
Okay.
My English still in the process of getting better.
And
Studying Spanish.
my Spanish is horrible. It is. Even though I feel like I know a lot and I can understand a great deal, and I can write Spanish like it's nobody's business. But when it comes to that speaking, boy, the nerves, I think I have something, may have something to do with it. I get very nervous whenever.
Something with me in English.
And it's so interesting because English is obviously my first language. You know, to hear him speak it, he speaks it very well. But then I do notice sometimes, like, there are things that I might say. I can't think of anything in particular, but that he'll be like, I'm not so sure what that means, you know, and I have to explain it. So, um, I don't think you ever really become fluent. Like, I like to say you're fluent, and we'll say that he's fluent, but I think I can understand the shortcomings of, you know, wanting to speak in your own native language. You know what I'm saying? So I feel the same. You know, I feel, yes, it feels like it's been a while, longer than 9 years. We do spend a lot of time together, like a lot, almost to the point. And I'm calling myself out on this. I don't necessarily. I like to think that you're more independent than I am when it comes to, fostering relationships and friendships and all that other stuff outside of us. I don't really do a very good job of that. I do feel like sometimes it is a hint of codependency where I depend on you very strongly. And sometimes my expectations for him are unrealistic, when it comes to how I want him to show up for me. And I'm working on it. It is, I've never been in a relationship that has been, well, I will say, firstly, fulfilling as yeah, and as long, it's a work in progress because it's not like like I'm tired, sick of it kind of thing. It's like, in 9 years, it's like we're still learning about each other. It's like I've never heard you tell that story, or whatever. So um so I the next question that I want to ask you, and I want you to kind of follow me here. What was the biggest change or something that you had to get used to in our relationship, in our marriage? Like, think about the person you were when we first met, to who you are now. What was the biggest thing you had to kind of adjust or change?
Mostly being up and out and about with friends. Like, I used to go with my good friend Sarah to the beach for 3 days, and because I didn't have nobody, I just, well, I'm in a relationship, but not like commitment or a committed relationship. And I would say I just need vacation, need to get away and go. And, like he says, more dependent. I have to, be aware of him and be more next to him, supporting him in all the aspects. And that was basically the bigger change. But I love it. No, I never regret a bit of it.
Hearing you say that, and noticing, like, over the years, that's definitely been something that has been a big change for you. And for me, I feel like I need to explain myself when I say that. Like, the idea of marriage for me is when we got married, you know, you become a unit, not necessarily one person. Sometimes that gets misconstrued, but you become a unit, and a unit moves together, as opposed to. And I'm not meaning in a literal sense. I'm meaning in terms of, like, decisions and stuff like that. Yeah, in his single days, it would be great for him to be like, oh, I'm gonna go to the beach for 3 days, and it not matter, or I'm gonna hang out with my friend, Sarah, and do that. But for me, it's like I have to consider, I would like for him to consider me, And sometimes that's not his default answer. And for me, it is something that I do default to. It's like, okay, yes, I do want to do these things, but I gotta let him know, you know. And sometimes I am looking for validation for him to, to do the things that I want to do, but I'm in no way like he tells me what to do when I tell him what to do. I do value quality time also. That's, it's not the love language, but that's something I enjoy. My love language is words of affirmation. So, but yeah, that has been a sense of conflict because in our relationship, you did think that I was trying to pull you away from your friends.
Somebody put that in my head, but I should have listened first place to what ended up happening.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, we don't have to go too deep into detail, but what was it that they put in your head?
Like you was trying to keep me away from them.
And you believe that to be true?
You know, moment, yes, but I learned that wasn't that true.
And it was very difficult for me because I've always pushed Carlos to be an individual. I feel like, because I knew he had those relationships. So it'll be times where he and I are sitting on the couch and I'm like, oh, have you talked to so and so? Or have you, reached out to, because I do think like that. You know what I'm saying? Even though I don't have like a whole gang of folks that I can go to in my Rolodex and hang out with, I do have core people in my life that I think about, that I am consistently in conversation with, whether it be via text or phone call or whatever, like Roxana or Sam or, Edwin, you know what I'm saying? Like things like that. Juan, I might not have those people here, but I do think about like, okay, make sure you keep in contact with that person. That's just, nurturing a relationship. So it was very difficult to learn that he felt that way because we were probably married 4 years at that point. And, I still remember the day that we sat down and he said that. And I just was like, I was bothered by it. Like it upset me and it made me sad because it was like, damn, you really think like for real? And it made me think like, maybe I am, maybe I am keeping him away from his friends. And it made me feel insecure. You know, what he said made me feel insecure. He didn't make me feel insecure. What he said and what he did made me feel insecure. And I don't like that feeling. And I'm okay with checking in with myself and maybe, so I did have to, I had to give him grace. But it really did make me mad. It upset me. Not mad.
And it's understandable. His friend put in my head that, oh, he doesn't want for you to hang out with us and blah, blah, blah. But in that moment, she didn't have a car. I didn't want with a car. I had to go pick it up. And then always an issue. I want to do this. And we need to do this, but I don't want to go there. Whatever, whatever. And it was a whole, bigger deal for her. And at this point, we're no longer friends because it's just too much to deal with, and jealousy and talking behind my back and things like that it don't make sense to me. For the sake of what, envy or whatever the case is. Everything I did for her from the bottom of my heart, not expecting nothing in return, just by an honest friendship.
And me and that friend unfortunately did have, like, when we were dating, we kind of had a difference in opinion in terms of, and I can identify that with that too because I had that happen with my family where I became this new person because now I have him, and for a long time I was perpetually single. I didn't have people that I brought around committed relationships, so it was difficult for them too. So I was able to see it. But we handled things differently. So it wasn't the ideal situation, but I would say that probably was one of the challenges that we had. And it took a while. And sometimes I still do have those thoughts. It's, maybe something that he does that triggers it. But, what can you do? I'm working with my therapist on that. The next question I have, sir, is, or I'll ask myself this question: what is the hardest thing about marriage? What was the hardest thing you learned about marriage, or was marriage what you expected? Was marriage what I expected? No, I expected it to be a lot easier than what it was.
True.
Um, because I'm not naive in thinking that, you would become a changed person once you got married. I just figured it would be easier to choose that person, but conflicts and stuff still happen, arguments still happen, feelings get hurt. You still feel neglect, you still feel sadness, you still feel underappreciated sometimes, and it was hard. That was the most challenging thing, to still feel loneliness in a marriage. And part of that might have been, my depression. The other part of it could have been just the transitions that I was making with my career, my job, and the growth that I had in terms of, my place in this world as a black man and how people saw me and things like that. And dealing with some growing pains. Dealing with him, finally, getting the help that he needs, which he can talk about himself, and dealing with the consequences, which yeah, it is, of him growing in a way where he doesn't necessarily think the same way that I do, or agree with the way that I do, or necessarily go with what I say, just because it's easier. Like, he's standing up for himself a little bit more. Like, those things sometimes, can be a little jarring. And it's like, but he obviously is his own person, and I'm grateful for that. And also, not necessarily being able to explain how I feel about something in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I do have to take time and think about it, or how to verbalize. Like, I feel all these emotions, and I know it's something that he said or did, but not knowing how to explain it was something else that was pretty difficult. So
Yeah, growing up in my country was the same thing. Uh, we don't know nothing about depression or get therapy or psychologists, anything like that. And then we grow with a lot of trauma when it comes to religion and your sexuality and your beliefs. So it's not easy, like he says, but we're trying to, live day by day, trying to understand each other.
when they say trauma, like we both do. Like, I got some childhood stuff that I didn't even know, and he does too. And the idea is to be the best version of yourself. And unfortunately, sometimes he gets to see me at my worst, and I get to see him at his worst. And I have to make a conscious effort to be like, okay, that sucked, and I don't like that, but I still choose you. I still love you. And sometimes, what I think something that was difficult is that love isn't always like, love can rain from the Raptors, and whatever. But sometimes that isn't always what keeps you. It is a conscious decision to, in spite of whatever it is I'm feeling, I choose him. So that was the most surprising thing for me. Um,
Same, I feel the same way too.
and sometimes I'd be like, and then he'll kiss me here, and I'm like, I'm not mad, but I am mad, angry, I'm seasoned. And I don't want to say nothing because I don't want him to be right.
Oh, that's what it is.
Next question. Next question. Next question. No.
I got you.
Get off of me. Oh, no, but no, shit. Oh, you don't want to kiss me on the cameras? You see how they be doing? Anyway. What is something that I do that you don't like that I
Driving with your phone in your hands.
do? I don't like his driving. Carlos drives really fast. And I'm noticing that I do too. So, especially like on 408 or whatever, if you live here locally, if you know, you know. But I wish I could I wish y'all could see this mother mucker right here. I wish. He looks so comfortable right now. Get your ass up. If you don't care, don't care. I'm not a big fan of Carlos's driving, and I think it also has a lot to do with my control too. So whenever we drive, I drive
most of the time.
But is that really the only thing that I do that you don't like?
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, the other one.
Oh, boo! But that's so stupid. I bet that if that and I was gone, you would miss that. So whatever. What is something that I do, or you?
What is something that you love that I do?
That you do. I mean, there's so many things.
Cooking.
I mean, you would think because you cook a lot, right?
Soup for last night.
Honestly, it's when
La sopa de albahaca.
He cooked soup last night. It wasn't his greatest. So, and he takes that stuff personal, like that. That's a thing for him. So, huh? Yes, you do. Lord, what can I get you?
Yeah, because I'm concerned about you not eating.
I can eat cereal. Like, it's not a big deal to me. Something that you do that I love. I love. I mean, there's a few things. That's why it's taking so long. I like seeing you interact with people outside of your circle. I like to see how you kind of, you know, how you pick up, speaking with people, even though that's not your natural thing to do. I also like when you give me words of affirmation, like when you're at the wedding and you seeing me do it and how I know these are a lot of me things, but honestly, it's just his adoration that he has for me and things that I do. Um, but if it was something actually not metaphorical, but like physically that I like that he does that I like when he dresses up, like when we go out on Fridays. I like the how he looks and how he takes the time to go look in the mirror and put his hair up and shave and all that other stuff. He's very stylish. I like his style. So
what I like him to do is when he speaks to people, he's funny, he's charming, and also the way he dress, the style, when he do the weddings, I love that. That's what inspired me.
how do I do the weddings?
Beautifully.
Like what specifically?
You smart, you funny, you corny, everything at the same time. Mm-hmm. And people love it. People laugh. People, oh, great job. Oh, I love it. Mm-hmm. And I love to see that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see.
What keeps you going on this marriage?
What keeps me going? The promise of a new day. The promise of a new day, the promise of things that we can do on a day to day, whether it be traveling, because we both love to travel. It just seems like we never have enough time, and before you know it, the freaking year's over. And I also have knowledge paralysis too, where I be want to do stuff, but I'm so afraid to do it because it's like shit. All these other thoughts come in my head, or how much is this gonna cost, and all that other stuff. And sometimes, the year would be done past, and it's like you had an opportunity to spend this time to do this, and you are not. So that sucks. Um, but the promise of a new day, the promise of a new, process, or the promise of loving each other, differently. Just the excitement of going wherever this relationship is able to go. Marriage.
Well, I forgot to say that what you love, something that you love that I do is that I make more money than you now.
Yes, he's
now he's sugar daddy.
All I can tell y'all is just wait, honey. Just keep supporting them. Keep supporting them. They're gonna eventually become your sugar daddy. And then when it happens, you just praise that man and just be like, "Thank you, God, for your sugar daddy every day, every day." Because it's been hard out there for me to always have to be the one, but now he is the one, and I can sit back and have babies.
And this is what keeps me going.
Papa tells your poo
sense of humor.
The sense of humor. My sense of humor is what keeps you going. Yeah. Okay. I know there's one more question, but I just thought of something. What is something that I've done that has made you really mad? And there's no holds bar, whatever it is you want to say. What was the one thing that I've done that has made you mad?
The only thing was the time of the infidelity. That's it. I will not say anything else.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Come on, really? That's the sense that is for you? I'm talking. He said something else other than the infidelity part. I would have to say the same thing. Without going too much into detail about it, there was some things that he did that I didn't necessarily like or agree with in it, and sometimes it rears its ugly head. That's how long we've been together. Relationships are hard, and they're and it's unfortunate, that we've gone through it, but I think that it was just more of a understand. We were missing something, and unfortunately we sought outside the relationship to find it, but that was what started us going into couples therapy, and we're still in couples therapy to this day. So that was that. What would be the one thing you would change if you could?
About our marriage?
Mm-hmm. Nothing.
Out of a marriage, I would change ugly people for nice people.
I really.
They didn't work better. People love each other.
I don't have anything that I would change either, if I have to say. In some instances, I wish it was easier. What you guys don't know is Carlos, we know now, we didn't know before. Carlos has chronic arthritis. And for a number of years, I really didn't think that we were going to be able to get past it, because Carlos was stuck in that fact finding. To me, it's like, it's pain to pain to pain. It don't matter. It is what it is. We don't need a name to know that you're in pain. And he just continued to seek and seek and seek. And that started year 3 of our relationship. We were in our 3rd year of marriage when that happened. And I went through different changes, trying to accept, the way, how it's going to be, but not learning to not, make things metastasize by, what ifs. I just have to live in the moment sometimes. And there have been many years of like broken, suggestions and promises that we've had, because of his pains, can be unpredictable at times. I do know that he does care. Um, but, when they say through sickness and health, you don't expect it to be year 3, for that to happen. You expect that to be something that's far away. We also have to put in perspective that Carlos is, as young as y'all might think this face is, he's older, than what some of you guys may think. And he's also been working since he was, what,
11 years old.
So how many years of,
that's like 44.
Over 40 something years of work. You know what I'm saying? So we also, I have to also put that in consideration too, and project that as compassion whenever he does feel like he can't. And then also lately we've been having like a whole bunch of fatigue among both of us. So
suction for work and not stop and trying to figure out what's going on and working.
It's very hard because he's been working throughout this whole entire thing.
Being notary, being wedding official, being a chef, being an insurance agent. We never stop.
Yeah. So, and we
have to take care of 3 dogs and now a niece.
Which I do kind of want to talk to him a little bit about that. So Carlos's niece is here. She's not on camera right now. Dice hola.
Hola.
¿Qué pasó contigo?
¿De qué?
¿De qué? So, is this anything you wanna?
¿Qué cosa? ¿Ah?
It's fine.
¿Tienes hambre? ¿Tienes sueño? ¿Estás feliz?
No, todo bien.
Todo bien. Everything good, you say.
What's wrong? Are you afraid to talk on camera?
Yeah, she's like me.
¿Por qué? Asustado.
No.
No.
She's shy like me.
I don't know what that means.
Before you I'm getting used to it. I know what it is.
So she's been here for a little bit of time now. And, we didn't say this to the Raptors because the last time we had someone here and how we were going to process that whole thing. Unfortunately, that gentleman is no longer living with us. He's down wherever he is, but he's no longer living with us. And, for me, I really didn't want to go through the whole process of having someone here again. And that does have a lot of contention for both of us. Well, for me, mostly because of just how everything went down, which I'm not going to go too much into detail. But it definitely tested my loyalty in terms of our relationship and, in terms of my loyalty to him, because it's a big role. And, I have to keep myself from going to the what if places, but it's really hard not to do. It's really easy to do.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But I'm working on it. That's also something that I'm working on my therapist. But I thought we were kind of in our soft girl life, our soft girl ages, where we we live life softly. You know what I'm saying? We take vacations when we want, that kind of stuff. So my expectation wasn't to be a parent to someone, and I had to check myself and understand that I'm not her parent, but we do have to provide for her in different ways, and I wasn't ready to do that again, considering how the last situation ended. So that's the challenge, and sometimes I am up and down about that, and it definitely tests me a lot. But I have committed myself to this gentleman here, which means I also have to trust you and the decisions that you make. But I don't want to do that again. So, do you have anything you want to say?
¿Quieres decir algo? So she's gonna do another podcast with us.
She's just gonna do another pod. But so you don't have anything you want to say, is what you're saying.
Si me quiere decir algo. Que amas al mundo, que amas la vida.
Tell them a little bit about you.
Sí, yo me preparo con eso.
She has to be prepared.
There's nothing to prepare. I'm trying to get her out of it because what I noticed.
She's in a shell like I used to be.
Primero tendría que entender de
I
qué
get
estoy
it.
hablando o aquello.
De todo el matrimonio.
But the thing about it is like they will stay in that moment and try to weasel themselves out of doing what it is I'm like answering the questions or whatever. And for me, that's just a sign to continue to keep going. So just tell them a little bit about you.
Un poquito de ti.
Just a little bit.
Es que no sé.
You're not even on
Sabe.
camera.
¿No?
You're not even on
Que ni
camera.
siquiera estás en la cámara, solo te están oyendo.
You're just talking to us. ¿Cuántos años?
¿Cuántos años tengo? Bueno, tengo 22 años, recién.
Hay que hablar más duro.
Tengo 22 años,
Ujú.
cumplí el mes pasado.
Okay.
She turned 22 last month.
And what's your favorite thing to do?
¿Qué es lo que más te gusta hacer?
Conocer, aprender nuevas cosas.
Learn new things, go travel.
Me gusta retarme a mí mismo.
She likes to challenge herself.
Así saber que puedo superar muchas cosas, porque cuando me reto, sé que y lo logro, me queda eso como sé que no hay nada imposible.
She said when she challenge herself and get to the goal she have put to herself, she understands that everything is possible and she can do it. We all can do it.
And she likes to treat our dogs like babies.
El agregó que te gusta tratar los perritos como bebés.
You want to introduce them? Rico's downstairs. Rico's old.
Rico's
now.
old. He doesn't want to come over here. This is Carrie.
You guys have met her
Carrie.
before.
Hey, Carrie. Look. That's your baby. Yes, Carrie. Hey, Carrie. Look.
He's such a he is.
He's just like
They
a
say
baby.
muy consentido, very spoiled
Very spoiled.
because of her. And then Tuesday, you guys have seen before, and they're still
And this is Her Majesty Queen Tuesday. It's Queen Tuesday. She's the queen of the house.
Oh, she doesn't want me to kiss her hand. So sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. She's-
Cornchip hands.
And Kyrie was a baby the last time we might have done, or we might not have even had Kyrie, to be honest. Tuesday, Rico's downstairs somewhere. So that's all we got. That's all I have. I hope you guys love this conversation. I enjoy having it. My husband's a cool dude, but when he's hungry, he's not so nice. So we're gonna go get something to eat. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening. You can catch us at Reggie's Expressions, REGGEE'(S) Expressions on Facebook. REGGEES period or dot expressions on YouTube. And no, I'm sorry, on Instagram. And then on YouTube, you can just search for Reggie's Expressions. All right. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. It has been fun, but we got to run. Peace.